When I was about 6, just picked up a trumpet at my friend's house. I saw it there and it was shiny and I liked it. And I still see that family and they still laugh about the fact that, you know, oh, was it our house that you picked up that trumpet, you know? Someone started playing me some jazz records that I thought, wow, this is really amazing. And when I heard Miles Davis, I really thought that was just something else, and I really developed a passion for it. A long time ago. It developed from just a straight hunting horn through to wooden kind of trumpets with open holes.
And that was using no vowels. So that's just using the harmonic series as a, you know, as a bugle would.
It's just got such a dynamic quality about it. It is regarded as the prince of instruments, despite what anybody else might think.
A very biting sound, a sound that can sort of rip through an orchestra very easily, which is what I really enjoy. It's a real calling sound. You know, in big bands, it's just one of the most amazing things you can hear.
You can produce a lot of different sounds with the trumpet, which is probably one of its kind of great qualities. I mean, wind instruments generally, I think, are able to imitate the voice, which is one of the reasons that they're so popular.
Well, there's people like Hummel, Haydn, definitely ones to look at. These are all standard classical trumpet repertoire.
Just about all types. I mean, classical music's always had a trumpet element, and jazz and soul, rock, all contemporary forms.
You tend to find a lot of jingle writing, although that's taken over by keyboards now, but you know, that was often done. Large orchestral scores, also film scores are done by trumpet, and it's basically, as a musician, you know, you have to practice your classical stuff, but you've got to keep your options open to be able to play any sorts of these musics at any one time.
What they actually do is they lengthen the overall tubing, the overall length of tubing that you've got. Just say if the trumpet was all straightened out, when you push one valve you'd be adding another little bit of tubing, like a trombone does the same sort of thing.
So when, say I play the note G, like so, that lowers that by a semitone. By a tone, half tones. And so on.
The mouthpiece is what you're actually creating the sound from. You've got that, you use the buzz from your lips. That goes into the mouthpiece, and then the trumpet basically amplifies that note. So that note, when you put it into the trumpet, becomes...
Mouthpieces are very complicated. If you can see here, different mouthpieces have different cups here, different cup sizes, different shapes of the cups. If you want to have a nice big sound, you'd have a big cup. If you want to have a small sound, you'd have a small cup. The smaller mouthpieces are more difficult to play because you have to have a strong embouchure, which is the muscles around your mouth. You have to be able to tighten them up and hold them there. If you have a small mouthpiece, a small cup, and you haven't got a strong embouchure, when you're blowing for some higher notes, you can your lips touch the inside of the cup, and that affects your playing ability.
Especially lead trumpet players, the people who play all the high notes in the big band, they use really shallow mouthpieces, and that makes it easier to get those really high notes. These ones here, they let out the spit. Well, it's actually not spit, it's condensation, but most people call them spit keys. There's some tuning slides here and here. They just help you to keep the trumpet in tune. That's about all there is to a trumpet. They're very simple instruments. The quality of a note can be affected by all sorts of things, like the width of this pipe here. The width of the overall tubing affects the note a lot. The width of the bell, the diameter of the bell, the thickness of the metal in the bell, the flare of the bell. The standard one, especially for jazz, is the B-flat trumpet.
The trumpet is all the same diameter all the way around, rather than the cornet, which starts very thin here and is always getting bigger all the way through, so it's a conical instrument. It's made like a cone. It's got a warmer sound. You can't penetrate so hard, and it's a bigger sound. The trombone is, as you can see, has a slide here, which you can take off. There's a slide here. It has 7 combinations for notes, so 7 positions. Like the trumpet has got 7 different combinations of valves. As you can see, a very simple instrument. It used to be called the sack butt.
Your lips are there to conduct the air into the instrument, so they vibrate. In order to produce a sound out of an instrument, there's a basic way of doing it. You basically say the letter M, and you blow through that. So M. And if you would put your mouthpiece there, it's M or M. And not using too much pressure, so that you have that range there already.
I think trumpet playing is a lot like singing. You can't, when you sing a note, you just kind of hear it in your head and you sing it. Well, it's the same with the trumpet, because you only got 3 valves, so there's only so many combinations of valves that you can have, and so because of that, you've got to make the notes with your lip and with your breath. Like, you enunciate your notes in the same way as you enunciate words. The key to playing the trumpet is breath control, and it's got to come from down here. You've got to learn to breathe with using your diaphragm, which is a muscle just below your lungs, in between your stomach and your lungs. So you're breathing like from your stomach, and your chest isn't really, just stays out, and the breathing comes from down here, and that really is the key to getting a good sound, to getting your notes in tune, to having your notes stay even. I mean, it's really the most important thing.
You get the piece of paper and you go against the wall, like so, and you blow against the wall. And try to keep the paper against the wall. And when you're doing this exercise, it's important that you don't use the air from up here, but use the air from your diaphragm, so you're really using that strength of all the lower muscles. You
have to teach yourself, because it's getting to understand the sensations, getting to understand what it feels like to breathe that, because most people just breathe from here like that, and they do that all their lives unless someone shows them otherwise.
You've got staccato tonguing, which is staccato tonguing. You've also got flutter tonguing. You've got double tonguing, which is using taka, taka, taka. So or you've got triple tonguing, which is tataka, tataka, ta.
You plug it in the end, and it changes the timbre of the note. I use that a fair bit, actually. So I could keep going for as long as you like. And then you blow your cheeks out, you store the air in your cheeks, and then you keep pushing the air out with your cheeks as you breathe in through your nose. So you're not actually breathing in and out at the same time. You're just storing your breath. In classical music, the trumpet's often used for impact, and the orchestra can just be playing along for ages, and then they'll hit the climax, and that's when the trumpets will come in. You have got different sounds for each of those two playing, so as opposed to sort of the trumpet's role in the music is different. I mean, in jazz, the trumpet leads the music, leads the melody, and most of the music that's played is improvised. In classical music, there's little or no improvisation.
Jazz allows you the freedom of expression, where you can just float I mean, you do have to acquire a certain knowledge. It's a discipline. Like most things, if you want to achieve any headway, you've got to study up a little bit about it. It's a universal language, which means that it has no boundaries. It's the language of love come everything.
Players, Miles Davis is one of my favourites, and Lee Morgan. So yeah, in jazz it's a bit sort of, you know, the player is a composer.
The thing about Miles Davis is the fact is that he was an absolute genius at his instrument, had a style all of his own, and many people copied, but kept jazz alive for a long, long time.
He sort of brought a relaxed playing to the trumpet, whereas people like Dizzy Gillespie sort of had... You know, sort of had that real fire about their playing. So it sort of, it was great. It's real contrast, which is what you need in music.
There's not much that can go wrong with the trumpet because it's so simple, but your valves can get stuck down if you don't keep them reasonably clean and oiled.
You just put a little squirt of valve oil on, put the valve back, put it in line, and then blow through to see if it's in the right place, which this is.
I found some very terrible looking things in my instrument after I've eaten and played the instrument. So I've worked out that you shouldn't eat and play at the same time. So try and clean your teeth before you play.
And if you put your trumpet down like that onto this little pipe here, well, what can happen is you bend that little pipe even a little bit, and it'll make the middle valve stick. So when you put your trumpet down, always make sure you put it down like that. Not like that, i.e. not on that pipe, and not like that. Because you see, if your trumpet falls down and it knocks any of these pipes, it's going to make your valve stick, and you have to take it to get it repaired.
What I've found is basically you can just run some water through the instrument, and that gets a lot of the dirt out of your lead pipe. And if you push all your 3 valves down, it'll get all the stuff out of there. Using toothpaste and a toothbrush, you sort of take all the gunk off your off the valves, so they run better. But of course, when you finish cleaning it with the toothpaste, take all the toothpaste off and put valve oil on. Otherwise, you'll find you'll have a very terrible sounding, looking trumpet.
This is a silver trumpet, so you can use a gentle silver cleaner on it. But if you've got a brass trumpet, all that is polished brass with lacquer on it. So if you use, some sort of cleaner like that, then you just take the lacquer off and ruin the finish. So you better just use soapy water. In fact, I think probably as a rule, soapy water's the go. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they get a bit dirty. I don't think anyway.
The tuning tends to be relative. Sometimes you've got really sharp pianos, or really flat pianos, so you have to tune to your environment.
Temperature makes a big difference. If you do an outdoors gig, sometimes your trumpet can get really sharp. When you first start playing it, they're quite cool, and so as you keep playing and the trumpet warms up from your breath, they can go a bit out of tune. Once you sort of can play reasonably well and you've got a reasonable ear, you make the adjustments just with your lips.
haven't seen anyone that can't play. I mean, I've heard of people with one lung playing. The only problem is that if you have got any problems, to go and talk to your doctor before you do start playing, because you can have back pressure from the instrument. So just go and check it out. Don't do anything stupid. Don't start playing with your legs crossed. Don't play music that's too high for you. If anything's too high for you, put it down the octave, and as you get better, you'll learn how to play those up. If you don't think your muscles can handle it, or you're feeling any pain, stop and take a little less time when you're practicing.
It's an instrument that requires constant practice. However, the rewards are that it's such a euphoric experience once you feel you're just getting the knack of it. Like everything, sports and everything, great athletes and things like that, they all psych themselves into train and all that to achieve a high. You put in about something like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and then you take a break for about 30 minutes or so, and then you come back and do the same thing. So it's kind of 2 hours. Well, it works out to about 2 hours of solid playing.
You try and break it up. So, as I said before, you'd say do the breathing exercise with the paper before you play. Then you might want to do some sirens. So you can get the blood circulating around the lips. Then after that you might do some long notes. And really concentrate on the sound when you're doing those, because there's no point. I mean, you shouldn't be reading a newspaper or watching the telly when you're doing it. You really must be concentrating on your sound. You can sort of work on slurs. Maybe some toning practice and onto pieces. So if you break that up and make sure you're working on little sections each day, that's the best way to, as opposed to just playing your pieces all day. You know, that does nothing really. I think Louis Armstrong said one day that if you don't play your instrument for one day, you know. If you don't play your instrument for the second day, the band knows. If you don't play your instrument for 3 days, the whole world knows. So really with trumpet, you can't get away without practicing for one day.
Best if you warm up. If you warm up before a performance or a rehearsal or anything, and warm down. And the way that I do that is I just do a bit of this. You make noises like a horse, like bit of that,
and then buzzing. Like, people might think you're quite crazy when you do this, but assure them that you're a trumpet player and they'll understand. So that's fine.
Bit of this, and then some long notes. Long notes are really important on the trumpet and all wind instruments. The more long notes you can do, the better sound you'll get. So I just sit there and do long notes, going down through the chromatic scale.
Just warming up the instrument. Make sure you're breathing well, which is why I've got this little thing on my instrument that says breathe. I can't miss that.
Sometimes if it's tricky, you might need to count it. But, you know, generally I think it's better to just feel music. You know, even when you're reading music, it's nice to have heard it a couple of times so that you can actually kind of have it playing in your head. There's so many decisions to be made when you're playing music that you couldn't possibly make them all with your conscious mind. So your unconscious mind is much better at playing music. So when I'm going through and I'm playing some music and I've got to remember, say, you know, how it goes, I'll just try to hear it as if I'm hearing it on the radio and hear how it goes and just let it come out. Jazz improvisation is based on the tune. The rest of the musicians hold the chord sequence for that tune, pretty much. Alright? And you improvise around those chords. Improvising, but you're using the melody, the original melody, as a starting point for that improvisation. So you're not just going off willy-nilly doing anything. You have to know where you are in the tune at all times, if you're going to make sense, you know, because that's what it's about. It's about saying something about a tune.
If we're talking about jazz, you're on the ball all the time. If someone's soloing, you have to back them up. Or if you are soloing, you have to listen to the rhythm behind. Otherwise you go that way and the rest of the band goes that way, and you won't last in the band for too long. You have to be complementary to everything. It's a team. You know, it's no good having, you know, being on a footy field and you've got a centre-half forward who's absolutely fantastic, but he doesn't pass to anybody. You know, he won't last in the team.
The more you play, the more you're able, the more your emotional aspect of you pours out of the horn. You don't practice enough, and that there's this barrier. It's like, I guess, an athlete who runs into a wall and feels the pain or this turbulence. Once he overcomes it,
through your technical ability, you are able to get what you want to say out better through your instrument. So I more see technical skill as a better means of expressing my emotions, as you know, as opposed to learning scales and do this, do that. I learn scales and I learn that because I want to express myself better on my instrument. Any type of personality I think is great for the instrument, and often you find a form of confidence when you play this instrument. Whether you become a professional musician or not, you learn about being confident about what you do and, you know, how you are with people. So it's definitely a good instrument for anyone to learn, I think.